Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on what is a covert narcissist or a narcissist conditional relationship. What does it mean to have a relationship with someone who has a pathological sense of their self importance and coupled with a lack of empathy? From that, it grows out to a lot of different personality traits and manifestations that we see from this personality type. And in terms of a narcissist, someone who has this sort of sense about themselves, will predicate and require a more conditional set of affairs. Conditional meaning it's based on conditions that need to be met. This is great if you're in school. If you have a teacher, we need to make sure these conditions are met for your betterment, for your educare, for your education, the ability to bring out, your ability to self-manifest, self-actualize, be your best self. Realize that you're industrious instead of having shame. Being able to be autonomous rather than dependent or people-pleasing. What is this? How does this map out if you're in a narcissist relationship or style of relating that is based on conditions? Meaning the love, the relationship, the connection, the things that really truly should be unconditional. Things that meaning not based on terms and conditions. Wearing a specific hairstyle, wearing a specific shoe, having a specific job. Other things that, in other words, they hold what you don't have against you. You're an apple tree and they're holding a fact that you're not a cherry tree against you. And yet they still want to be under the shade of your tree. This is a conditional sort of narcissist relationship style based on conditions that need to be met. If not, then you will not receive said love, affection, positive regard, ability to thrive, ability to exist, all sorts of other interpretations that will result as a ramification or result. A ramification, which means as a result. Because of this, then this. Because oftentimes, and this is just how things are in a capitalist or any economy right about now, in the 21st century, you've got conditions. I can't, which are false. I can't get up unless I have the Starbucks. I can't do my job unless I have this conditions, and this is sort of it'll sort of keep a certain type of relational style going to profit that individual entity or department, etc. So conditional meaning you're either going to win it or lose it. It is based on uncertainty and risk. And so the risk avoidance means people pleasing. I can avoid getting hurt, abandoned, or left in the cold or the dark if I just pretend as if or be according to the conditions that need to be met. This is not unusual. This is not unprecedented, but it becomes severe in a pathological, like an overt or covert narcissist relationship. You're always having to win something over, win them over, prove yourself, outdoing yourself. I mean, the people who can't have enough cars, they're chronic, they just chronic debtors, chronic shoppers, compulsive drinking, compulsive eating, just these other sort of, they feel that they're the trappings of society, but they're not fulfilling. Like they're like Bob Marley, your belly's full, but they're always hungry. It's just like a hungry mob is an angry mob. In other words, they're always they're fueled by just sort of this perpetual need for power and control. And it's kind of like a high combustion engine. It requires a lot of fuel, a lot of wood power, a lot of person power, a lot of support to meet the conditions of these individuals. And then being false to yourself. Eventually, and this is where things are headed, is people really need to get to the real. This is the real, and it not be threatening. Conditional love. And with an overt narcissist, conditional meaning you don't show or speak about your feelings. You don't speak about your symptoms. You don't speak about your needs, your wants, your desires, preferences, or opinions. You basically put up and shut up, and you should be as lucky. This is the stoicism. This is the people who do not smile. You see, all sorts of pictures of different times in history where there was famine, scourge, illness. Their needs were not met. They were just very sort of stoic, soul-faced, stone-faced, just sort of very somber, humility, just in the present moment. You don't have to always be jumping, smiling, doing jumping jacks, getting the deal, being the star today. How is it today? Did you get the condition today? Oh, not today. That means, oh no. You're defined then by these certain conditions. And oftentimes the bar is just where you can't reach it. This is known in sales organizations, tampering with people's compensation. Just as soon as they get good at this, then they raise the bar, reduce the compensation, work harder. This is how you get more out of people. This is not unprecedented or unusual. In the severe, though, you're talking about exploitation, of a person, an individual, a workforce, an economy, and etc. And you might find yourself in said conditional behavior, in said conditional relationship, in said conditional workplace, marriage, family. You're just depleting. You're running on empty. Jackson Brown, moving on. Okay, Late for the Sky, other great Jackson Brown poetry lyrics. Running on empty and running behind. That if you're running on empty, a certain part of there's a humility and devotion when there's true love and there's reciprocity and there's unconditional regard, meaning that you don't have to prove yourself that you're lovable just the way you are. Flaws and everything. You lost your hair. You got a stomachache and threw up. You got a bad haircut. You have a bad mood. You didn't get the job. You didn't get the sale. You're not super stellar. You're not the whatever. It's just you're you, and that is enough. See, that enoughness, that is not a condition-based lifestyle. That you're enough. This can help push and improve and help you grow. So you have to look at these in certain amounts. In certain doses. Certain conditions are good. Yeah, you pay the lights, they stay on. You study in school, you gain knowledge. There's certain conditions. But in a narcissist relationship, the conditions are generally to utilize, take advantage of, and exploit those with whom they target as supply, which means promising them one thing and not delivering. Promising them a marriage and not delivering. Promising them fidelity and cheating with the secretary. Oops, those coral fingernails, I couldn't get over it. I mean, what do you really, is that you don't have any, they don't, there's conditions, constant conditions that need to be met. What is unconditional positive self-regard? Meaning that is the seed that you have to adopt. You need to take it in. Here comes the delivery, at the door, Amazon, unconditional positive self-regard. Instead, you've got Amazon trucks filled with conditional relationship needs. I mean, it fuels economies. You're not good enough, get these new Nikes. I mean, you're not good enough, get this new whatever. What is the new thing nowadays? Devices. It's whatever. I mean, you can see it all over. It takes all places of the rainbow. But realize when you're being overplayed on these conditions, and when balance or sort of being minimal, being humble, being not always perfect, that is kind of okay. To be quirky, to be needy, to want to know things, to not want to always show up like Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, to say, hey, guess what? I made a boo-boo, a bobo, and you can not feel ashamed for it. Or you don't have to be the tool in someone else's in someone else's conditional game. Meaning, these are in relationships, anything can be taken. Kids, back and forth, these conditions, playing with this, it just can run rampant. So delivery of positive, unconditional self-regard coming to you from peace and harmony, delivering to your door unconditional positive self-regard, as it's distinguished and different from a relationship with a covert narcissist. You can simultaneously live with this type of person and just live completely separate lives as if they're not even in the same home. I mean, that might be what you need to develop and adopt, is unconditional positive self-regard. And why can you not simultaneously have humility and be you? Maybe certain be states or feel states that were not allowed to be felt, discussed, shared, spoken about at dinner, reviewed in the weekend, discussed in your homeroom, looked at while you're playing golf. I mean, things that get bottled up. Oh, I won't talk about it today, and then tomorrow, and then I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll deal with the fact that I don't want to live this way, or something seems wrong. I want to put the brakes. I'll put the brakes on it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. That is scary. Tomorrow I'll feel good. Tomorrow I'll be free of anxiety. Tomorrow I will, share this. Tomorrow I will stand up for myself. Tomorrow I will stop this toxic job or this toxic relationship. But what about now? Why don't you have the ability now? Because you do not have positive, unconditional self-regard. So it takes you out of the now. It takes you out of the I can. It takes you out of the I have. It takes you out of the thumbs up. It takes you out of that. But instead, can you overdo? Wouldn't it be so nice if you just overgave and then you get nothing in return? I mean, that is not a fair shake. That's not a fair situation. That's not a fair... That's not eventually going to be fair. Eventually, you're going to need to rally and speak for yourself in a way that is drastic, in a way that is unconditional positive self-regard. And if you can have that about you, that's going to make you very courageous, very unstoppable, and really sort of closer to your divinity, closer to your understanding, closer to your serenity, perhaps the things you're looking to fill up, while with all the other conditions that you're trying to condition yourself with, you're trying to uncondition yourself. You're becoming deconditioned from stress, like out of stress, and into what? What is, so you have to realize that you can steer the ship through positive, unconditional, positive self-regard. You're sick, you're still amazing. You didn't get the sale. You're a rock star. You didn't get the rock star deal. You're still a rock star. I mean, this has to be belief. This has to predicate. It has to be as Vincent Jenna, who's a gifted, has a gift that really most people don't have in terms of a healer. He has the ability to understand human nature and communicate the resolution, solution, and sort of have you to be your best self in a way that I've known no other. In fact, I would recommend you look him up, Vincent Jenna, Genna, first name Vincent, as in Saint Vincent, and you can do reading with him, you can do a session, you can do a healing with him, or whatever he calls it. But he has a book, and he kind of he approaches this subject on this preheating concept. So if you look into it, there's a lot of merit, a lot of validity, a lot of power and potency in this oration, which means it's like he's passing you like the tablet, like how these answers, like cliff notes, guys. I'm glad you found the channel. It's your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe. For goodness sake, please donate and support the channel. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.